Tim Cameron, St. Luke, Sydney. I'm just wondering, you said you divvy up the disaster response work. What is the Lutherans' share of that divvying up?
Right. We have three core components of Lutheran disaster response: emotional and spiritual care, providing through programs such as Camp Noah, which is a vacation Bible school for children in disasters that has recognition from FEMA and many people around the country, the good work of helping kids to be able to be traumatized because of disasters. We also, through emotional and spiritual care, provide counseling, also respite retreats for rostered leaders that have been through disaster. Second is volunteer coordination, helping to coordinate people that are going to a disaster area. Mentioned like helping to fund people that are coordinating, that were going out to help in Sandy, or even up here in the Schoharie Valley, need lots of volunteers to do the rebuilding, so we help with that. Then also the long-term recovery, and the components of that are construction management and disaster case management. Disaster case management is a process where we work with families that have been impacted by a disaster for a long period of time. It's different than case work. Case work is meaning that a person needs a refrigerator, or they need a bed, or they need washer and dryer. Disaster case management helps them to develop a plan to be able to do their recovery. We find that dollars invested to pay for a disaster case manager over and over again returns 7 to 8 times the amount of money. So I get some pushback on, well, why do you do the long-term recovery? Just give people $100. They said, well, would you rather give somebody $100 or help them get access to $700 or $800 worth of work? And all the time they'll say $700 or $800 as well. So emotional and spiritual care, volunteer coordination, long-term recovery, disaster case management. Does that answer that? Good, thanks.
Gary?
Gary Roller from Redeemer here in Rochester, and also the volunteer coordinator for Lutheran Disaster Response for the Synod. Just a follow-up comment, Pastor Stady. Administration costs for LDR, if my memory serves me correctly, which a lot of times it doesn't, there are none. 100% of donations are all distributed.
When somebody designates a donation for a disaster, such as the hurricanes in Oklahoma, Superstorm Sandy, whatever it may be, if it's designated, we can say 100% of those dollars go to help that disaster, or give to, if this disaster, for example, is U.S. tornadoes. We didn't designate for more because we forget about the tornado in Granbury that sadly 12 people were killed. There's needs there as well. There's also been other tornadoes other than just in Moore. So we try to make it a little bit broad so we can help all those that were impacted by the tornadoes in this terrible season. Well, how do we get our money then? Mission support helps in terms of the general overhead of offices as well. But undesignated disaster is what pays the actual administration. So it's but that's a very small percentage of that. We're trying to figure out the numbers. There's different ways of trying to calculate that, and you know how that, we're talking about that as well too earlier, how we figure that, but it's a very small. We have 3 FTE, 3 full-time equivalents doing disaster work for the ELCA. So we're not very heavily staffed because it's people like Gary and other volunteers in the social ministry organizations that are our affiliates around the country that are doing the work. So we have a very small staff. We depend upon Gary, others, and people like you to be able to step up and do the work. Because whenever Lutherans respond to a disaster, that's Lutheran disaster response. Thanks.